All right, so people make the same mistakes over and over. Take this example from TripAdvisor of somebody that got food poisoning at a restaurant and then they went back to the same restaurant. Guess what happened? Food poisoning again, right? So continuous improvement is a big tenet of DevOps, but we don't always follow it. And by the late 2000s, most organizations were riding the Agile wave, but a lot of those transformations stalled out. They were fraught with failure. And now in 2019, with organizations moving to DevOps, they're falling prey to the same patterns. And so we need to learn from some of these mistakes. And in order to do so, I'd like to share some of those challenges that those companies faced and how we could apply them. So my name's actually Adam Lefkowitz. I'm with a company called VictorOps. Before that, I was with Rally Software, where we helped organizations make the move to Agile. And because this is only Ignite, I'd like to share 3 of the 12 Agile failure modes. Because if we're able to learn from those failure modes, we can avoid some of those pitfalls. You'll have a more successful and accelerated adoption of DevOps and hopefully avoid the stomach aches along the way. So let's get started with the first one. No business view of the value stream. So organizations have silos, and when they decide to make a digital transformation, they adopt based on existing organizational models. And so within DevOps, breaking down silos is a big part of that, but because of these existing models, those silos typically persist. And a good tool to address that is value stream maps. But one of the things that stalled a lot of Agile transformations out was a lack of view into the entire value stream. That is, a lot of organizations didn't have a view of concept to cash flow of value through their systems. So how many people here have done a value stream map? So keep your hand up if that's gone outside of IT from concept to cash. Yeah, it's kind of hard. So the takeaway here is to really, even if you've broken down the silos between dev and ops, look beyond that to get a view of the entire value stream. All right, so Agile failure mode number 2. So failure to transform leadership behavior. So the way that managers interact with their team has a huge effect on the success of adoption of a new methodology. And so too often, a lot of managers try a top-down approach, pushing things forward without input from the team. And according to Andrew S. Grove, the former president and CEO of Intel, there's 2 kinds of power. You've got positional power and knowledge power. The higher up you are in an organization, the more position power you have, but the farther you are from the work. And at the team level, that's where the knowledge power lies. And so as a leader, in order to make effective decisions, you need to get input from the team. And a lot of Agile coaches recommend taking a servant leader approach. So a servant leader is going to serve the needs of their team. They're going to move decisions a little bit closer to the team, and they're also going to remove obstacles. So keep that in mind as you go through a transformation. Leadership behavior needs to change as well. So failure mode number 3, failure to decentralize control. So centralized control is appropriate in certain situations, but centralized control without input from the team leads to uninformed decisions, can waste time, and it lowers morale. And so you can use a couple simple guidelines to determine, which control mode to use. So if you've got long-term complex decisions that span a lot of constituents, then use a centralized approach. But if it's a short-term, low-impact decision, you can decentralize those types of decisions. And so having balance here is key. So most successful managers know when to move some of those decisions closer to the team where the work is being done, but then centralizing those complex long-term decisions. And so the takeaway here is set a vision for your team, ensure that they understand that, and allow them to make some of those short-term decisions. So a lot of DevOps transformations are falling prey to the same challenges that Agile transformations went through. And so I would really recommend going and doing a search on the web to find that 12 Agile failure modes, because most of them actually apply to DevOps. And so here today we covered 3 of them: no business view of the value stream, failure to change leadership behavior, and failure to decentralize control. So don't be like that person that got food poisoning at a restaurant and went back to the same restaurant. Be more like Josh Atwell, and let's try and learn from previous failure. Thank you.